Okay.
Calling the Long Hill Township Board of Education meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Long Hill Township Board of Education was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act as follows. Notice was sent to the Echo Sentinel and Daily Record on September 15th, 2022. Revised notice was sent to the Echo Sentinel and Daily Record on May 10th, 2023. Notices were posted on the bulletin board in the first floor entrance of the School District Administration Building, Gillette, New Jersey. Notices were filed with the Township Clerk, and notices were mailed to all persons who have requested individual notices pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Here.
Mr. DeJamos?
Here.
Mrs. Daly? Mr. DeGiorgio?
Here.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Here.
Ms. McLennan?
Here.
Ms. Nyquist?
Here.
Ms. Ruvalo?
Here.
Mrs. Case?
Here. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. So we have a couple of special presentations. One, we have our Millington School student presentation for the science fair. And then we also have the Long Hill Township faculty and staff milestones of service. So we're going to do those two presentations, and then we're going to take a break afterwards. So don't feel like you're going to have to stay for all the business. You'll have time to exit.
Unless you want to stay.
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Dawson, did you want to introduce the presentation?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Dawson, the principal at Millington School, and we brought in some fourth grade students to represent the entire fourth grade who will have their opportunity for the science fair tomorrow to present to their classmates. So I'll call them up one at a time, and Dr. Rovtar is going to hold. She's the Vanna White. Do you guys know who Vanna White is? Okay, I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay, Jenny, where are you? You want to go first? All right, where's your board? Right over here.
Renee, should we go ahead? Can we move the board? Can we go down?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Can you hold this and read off of that at the same time? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Okay. I wasn't going to crawl under though.
My experiment was called Fantastic Floating. My big question was, which items would float in four liquids? My hypothesis was, I think that the egg will not float in the water and will go to the middle of the glass in the salty water, but the paperclip will sink in each. I think that the egg will float in the salty milk and sink in just milk, and paperclip will float in salty milk and sink in the other one. For my procedure, I tested my hypothesis by using the milk with salt solution, water, and water with a salt solution. For my conclusion, I was very surprised that the egg floated in the salt water, salty milk, and milk. I didn't know that the egg would sink in just water. I was sad that the paperclip sank in all four liquids because I had a strong feeling that the paperclip would float in the salty milk. I learned that the fat in the milk and the salt added to the water changed the density of the liquid, which made the egg float. The paperclip did not float because it did not have enough surface area. I really enjoyed doing this hands-on experiment.
Thank you. Okay, Taylor is up next. You're over there, I think, right? Oh, she has props. Where's her teacher? Mrs. Melito, can you hold the props up? All right, Taylor Higgins. Do you want to read it off of there or off your sheet? You just have to use the microphone.
My experiment was lava amazing lava lamp. My big question was, what causes the separation of oil and water? My hypothesis was, I think that the hydrophilic compounds in water will cause the separation from the oil. My procedure, get all the materials and put them on a flat, clean surface. Step 2, fill the bottle 3/4 full with vegetable oil. Then pour cold water to the top of the bottle. Add 10 or more drops of food coloring to the bottle. Any color will work. Break the Alka-Seltzer tablet into 6 to 8 pieces. Add 1 piece at a time. Step 6. Put the cap of the bottle on when the initial bubbling stops. Step 7. Tip the bottle back and forth and observe the reaction. My conclusion was my hypothesis was correct and incorrect. My hypothesis was correct because the reason the oil and water separate is because they're made of different compounds. My hypothesis was incorrect because the reason they separate is because of the hydrophobic compounds in the oil, not the hydrophilic compounds in water.
Thank you, Taylor. Lucas Gesualdo, the floating ring. Lucas, Dr. Rovtar is going to hold that up for you. Would you like me to hold the microphone while you read?
Yeah.
Or do you want to hold it? You got it, buddy?
Yes, Miss Dawson.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lucas Gesualdo, and I am in Miss Ramirez's 4th grade class. For my experiment, I created a floating ring. I created friction with a balloon and used the electricity made the balloon float. It's supposed to make the ring float.
Which one goes next? That one? Or
This.
This, the big question. Got it.
My big question was, will the ring float higher if I rub the balloon against my hair for 20 seconds instead of 10 seconds? My hypothesis was that the ring will float higher. First, I rubbed the balloon against my hair for 10 seconds to see how high it will float. Then I rubbed it for 20 seconds. For both times, the ring floated. Instead of it floating higher on the second try, it floated for a longer time. In conclusion, my hypothesis was not correct. The amount of electricity there will keep the balloon floating longer instead of floating higher.
Great job, buddy. There you go. Good job, bud. Great job, Lucas. All right, Eve Daly, where are you? Come on up. Yep, you got this.
Which one?
She's right here.
This one?
All right, can you do both, or you need me to hold your cards?
I can hold the cards.
Okay.
Hi everyone. My name is Eve Daly, and I am in 4th grade in Mrs. Ramirez's class. For my experiment, I made oobleck, and I tested out a different theory. I wondered what would happen if I added baking soda to oobleck. For those who don't know, oobleck is a non-Newtonian fluid, which means depending on how much force you put on it is either a liquid or solid. When I did my experiment, I followed the directions and I also added baking soda. My hypothesis was that it would become stretchy. When I added the baking soda, instead of it being solid, it crumbled like it had like a consistency, being solid, it crumbled and had the consistency of crumbles, like crumbs, instead of a solid or liquid. So in conclusion, my hypothesis was not correct, and I do not recommend adding baking soda. Procedure. Step 1, pour a cup of cornstarch into a large bowl. Step 2, add food coloring of your choice to 1/2 cup of water. You can do that if you don't have to. Step 3, pour colored water into the cornstarch slowly. Step 4, mix with hands. Step 5, repeat the steps but add 1 teaspoon of baking soda and mix with your hand and see if it still works. That's it.
Great job, Eve. All right, Selena, you're up. Selena Gesualdo.
Which one's Selena?
She's over here. Here.
Hello, my name is Lena Deswaldo in 4th grade at Millington School. My teacher is Miss Muir, and this is my presentation about magnetic slime. Big question. Will my slime become magnetic? Okay. Big question. Will my slime become magnetic if I add synthetic black iron oxide into it? Hypothesis. I think it will become magnetic because synthetic black iron oxide is magnetic. Ingredients. Elmer's glue, cup of water, synthetic black iron oxide, borax, a mixing bowl, a mixing spoon, a set of plastic gloves, a rare earth neodymium magnets, because if you use normal magnets, it won't work because the magnetism isn't powerful enough to attract the slime. A measuring cup and a measuring teaspoon. Procedure. Put the gloves on because if you didn't, your hands would turn black, as you see in the right side of the pictures. So that's why you have to use gloves. Step 2. Mix 1/4 cup of warm water with a 1/2 teaspoon of borax until it dissolves. Step 3. With the spoon, use the glue with the dissolved borax. Knead the mixture with your hands until it's slimy. Step 4. This is the most important because without the synthetic black iron oxide, it won't become magnetic. Step 4. Add the synthetic black iron oxide and the 1/4 cup of water into the slime. Step 5. Knead the slime thoroughly until all the ingredients are mixed together. Step 6. Take a dime-sized piece or a small piece of slime and roll it into a ball. 7. Hold the magnet 1 inch away from the ball of slime and watch it try to reach towards the magnet. Data. Anything that contains iron is magnetic, and when you hold the magnet in the magnetic field of slime, the magnet attracts the slime. This is called magnetism. If you hold the magnet too far away from the slime, it won't attract the slime. This is because the magnet is not in the magnetic field of the slime. If you don't add enough iron oxide, the slime won't have enough magnetic force. Conclusion. By adding a magnetic material to slime, it becomes magnetic. So my hypothesis was right.
You're good. Go ahead. Next up, we have Xander Shires. Here's Xander. Do you need me to hold anything, or?
I'll just put it on the floor for now. Hello, my science project is about how to make a bouncy egg. My big question is that which liquid will make an egg bouncy? My hypothesis is that vinegar will dissolve the eggshell because it is acidic and will make the egg able to bounce. Data. On day 1, the egg in vinegar has small bubbles appearing and covering the eggshell. The egg and vinegar also floated to the top of the jar. No changes occurred to the other eggs. Day 2, egg and vinegar has a layer of frothy bubbles appearing on the top of the vinegar. No changes occur on the other eggs. Day 3, egg and vinegar no longer has a shell and can bounce. No changes occur on the other eggs. Conclusion. Overall, my hypothesis was correct, and vinegar was a liquid that dissolved the eggshell, leaving the egg covered with only its membrane and made the egg able to bounce. The materials needed are 4 eggs vinegar, water, bleach, and dish soap, mason jars or glass, and labels. And the steps I took are: step 1, gather the eggs, mason jars, vinegar, water, bleach, and dish soap. Step 2, label the jars, then pour the liquids in their respective jars. Step 3, soak the eggs in the various liquids until the shell is dissolved. Step 4, remove the eggs from the jar with a spoon. Step 5, feel the eggs and determine which one is soft.
Thank you. You have your stuff to okay?
Thank you, Xander. Colin Case is the burger battle. Here you go, buddy.
Big question. Which rots faster, Burger King or McDonald's? Hypothesis. I think the McDonald's will rot faster. I think this because, in my experience, I don't see Burger King rot that much. Also, if you have Burger King chicken nuggets, they normally will stay good for at least 4 hours. So I think that they will be the same for burgers. What will be swapped? Staying the same, the environment, changing the brand of the burger. Conclusion. The McDonald's burger rotted faster, but that means that the King burger has more chemicals to make it rot less. That means you should get McDonald's burgers, not Burger King burgers, because they have less chemicals. And if you keep a McDonald's burger for later, make sure you don't keep it for 8 days, otherwise it will have mold.
Thank you. Thank you, Colin. All right, Addison Peruna, are you the filthy paws? Here you go.
Filthy paws. My big question is, which one of my dog's paws is more dirty, Teddy B or Kika's? My hypothesis is if I swab both my dog's paws, then Teddy's paw will be dirtier than Kika's paw. For the materials, you use pre-poured sterile agar plates, petri dishes. You use 6 of them. Sterile cotton tip swabs. You could also use 6 of those. Vial with purified water to wet cotton swabs, 6 of those. Safety glasses, 1. Gloves, 1 pair. Lamp, 1. Infrared surface thermometer, 1. Procedure. Pre-pep. Wash hands to not contain experiment. Put on safety glasses and put on gloves. Main prep. Pull out 6 petri dishes. Label 3 of them as Kika's 1, Kika's 2, Kika's 3. Repeat step 2 for Teddy on the other 3 petri dishes. Take 1 swab and dip it into the purified water. Swab Kika's right paw by swirling and counting to 10. Then take the swab to the petri dish labeled Kika's 1 and swab while counting to 10. Repeat 2 more times for Kika's 2 and 3. Repeat steps 4 through 6 for Teddy. Once all 6 petri dishes are swabbed, take an initial temperature of each and record the data. Then put them all under the lamp for 2 days, checking temperature and counting bacteria at day 1 and 2. So first you have to label these. I labeled them Kika's and I labeled Teddy's. You have to swab their paws in the petri dishes, and you have to count each day. And for my data, I did a graph, and I counted all of them and times them by 2 because I counted 1 half, and then for the other half. And in conclusion, Kika's had a total colony count of 700, and Teddy had a colony count 1,128. This means my hypothesis was correct. Learnings. I learned about colony counting using and how math is a big part of science. I also learned that my hypothesis was correct, and one of the reasons it could be is because Teddy runs around outside much more than Kika's does.
Thank you. Can we give these wonderful 4th graders another round of applause? Good job, guys. And thank you to their teachers, too. They're all right here. They all came tonight. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do that first? Okay.
Thank you guys so much. You did a great job. As I mentioned when we started the meeting, we're just going to do the milestones now for faculty and staff, and then we'll take a break, and there's some refreshments in the background for everybody. So I think, Ms. Dawson, are you starting?
Are you ready?
I think we're ready, yeah.
With 5 years of service, the following staff members work at Millington School. Shannon Butler, who teaches 2nd grade. I'll state their names. If you're here, come on up. We have your pin for you. Christine Cancelleri is a 3rd grade teacher. I don't believe she's here tonight. She started as a paraprofessional, and then we hired her as a 3rd grade teacher. Nina Coulter, who is here with her 4th grade student. Caitlin Skolnick, with 5 years of service, is a social worker in the Child Study Team office. Joelle Strona is one of our dedicated paraprofessionals with 5 years of service. And Emily Taylor, is Emily here tonight? No. Emily Taylor is our ELL teacher at Millington School with 5 years of service. 10 years of service, Jessica Bariso, our Spanish teacher. With 15 years of service, Jocelyn Merritt, who also works as one of the case managers in the Child Study Team office. 20 years of service, Dina Wells is a secretary in the Child Study Team office, as well as Kathy Dobacheski, one of our special education teachers. I'm going to go back to 15 years of service. I know Sue Stone is here. Sue is retiring at the end of this year, and I just wanted to send her all our best wishes from her Millington family, but thank her for her years of dedicated service to the students she worked with as a paraprofessional and the teachers she worked with.
Thank you. Mr. Vitarello?
Okay, good evening, everyone, and I will be recognizing the following staff who work at Central Middle School. So for 5 years of service, Barbara Murray, who serves as a secretary at Central Middle School. Also for 5 years of service, Larissa Greco, who serves as a 7th grade mathematics teacher. For 20 years of service, Andrew Gillespie, 7th grade social studies teacher. And here tonight, Elisa Burns, 30 years of service in special education. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to recognize one staff member who's retiring at Central Middle School, Angela Barth. She is a 7th grade science teacher. She's a very dedicated teacher who has a strong understanding of her content area. She always works to have a hands-on, tactile approach in science and get the students directly engaged in all the scientific labs that they work on. She challenges students to think critically, and she always uses so many various teaching strategies to foster this. She's shown to be very adaptable and flexible over the years and do anything she can to help her students grow. So I don't see her tonight, but I just wanted to mention that and tell her that we'll miss her. We wish her all the best in her retirement.
Okay, Dr. Jones.
Good evening, everybody. students, great job. I would like to take an opportunity to congratulate and say thank you to your service in Long Hill Township to the school community. To the following staff members, 5 years, Jack Hartnett, who saved us tonight. Jack is systems technician and IT coach, and obviously much, much more. 5 years, Diana Marcantone, a paraprofessional at Gillette School. Nicole McGrory, 5 years, special education teacher at Gillette School. Patty Puglisi, paraprofessional at Gillette School, 5 years. Wendy Racanelli, paraprofessional at Gillette School, 5 years. Courtney Rogers, paraprofessional at 5 years at Gillette School. And Sharon Williams, paraprofessional for 5 years. And I hired all of them, so that's amazing. Congratulations to those staff members. At 10 years, we have Helena Anderson, ELL teacher in all of the schools, mostly at Gillette, of course, because that's where I like her to stay. So thank you very much, Mrs. Anderson. And also at 10 years at Gillette School for the majority of the time, Rosa Aguiar, speech therapist. Congratulations. And I do not see, oh yes I do. I'll be very nice because I love Mrs. Franklin. Congratulations to Mrs. Lauren Franklin, 25 years. Before my time in Long Hill, Mrs. Franklin was many grade levels as a teacher. Since my time, she has been BSI, president of the LHTA, and an excellent asset to the district, as everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. We're going to take a short break for the board. If you guys would like, please enjoy some refreshments, and thank you all for coming tonight.
Are we gonna go up there?
We're gonna do it tomorrow. Yeah, you know. We're doing this in school. Hey, good job.
Hey, good job, kid.
It's so exciting. I can't believe it. Oh, thank you. You did awesome.
Great job. Thank you for making my board meeting entertaining.
I know, right? You don't like that. I know, maybe tomorrow. She did awesome. So that's awesome.
You haven't had some last minute panic, yes.
I was like, when I emailed you back, I was like, I have to email them back. I was like at a soccer game. I'm like, here I go.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Take care.
I think COVID had a little bit to do with it because Dare.
Yes.
They asked, what did you do? They went to a party and your friends had beers out. I walk over, slap his hands, their beers out of his hands, and tell him not to do it. Well, you're not going to have any friends. To this day, last graduation, that summer, these kids were like, "Great, you guys want to do this?" You're in my own house. Right? Enjoy it. Not be as stupid as I did.
They really know. Congratulations! I'm like, they really know what they're doing. I'm so excited to see them. I'm not like trying not to cry. You did so good. You did such a good job. My wife. He really loves you. I'm sorry. Sorry, world. You know that. I'm sorry. It's rare, but it happens. You're not getting that one out. I do it myself. The red one. I do it too most of the time. On ear. On ear. Still on the edge, so you know, I like the chocolate Oreo. I love the stuff. But I suppose I prefer the original, but it wasn't there. That makes me really happy. Makes you really happy. One of the things I always say is that, you know, things that we got going for us, you know, because when he coaches people, his people, at least they know that he's a good boy. So it's like, yeah, thank you so much. We'll miss you. Yeah. That was for him too. Still. That was good. And the era. Yeah. Our spinner, you know, yes. Oh, and you know.
Maybe if I can start calling our board members back.
watching the science projects? No, I mean, that was cute. No, Mrs. Stone. I just love her. I think I lost my phone.
Did amazing.
Best part of the job.
Okay, we are going to move on to communications. Any communications?
I do not have any.
Thank you. Board committee and liaison reports. Can I start with Karen?
Sure. On May 10th, I attended the virtual meeting for the Morris County Ed Services Commission. A couple of things. We completed the superintendent's evaluation. Also, something that maybe also knows at the transportation office, there was legislation in the Assembly and Senate that would give some relief on CDL license requirements, if especially if it would more pertain to special education type vehicles. So if it was the size of a caravan or similar, they wouldn't need a CDL license, and that'll provide some, I guess, relief in terms of how getting drivers. The other thing is the Ed Services Commission was approached by Apple to be the state representative for them coordinating all purchasing through them. So they're in the midst of negotiating a contract. The one with the Middlesex Ed Services Commission expired, and in terms of what that commission was asking, Apple was not agreeable to. We will have a reorg meeting in June. I think I mentioned this before. There are still 1 or 2 districts that have their elections associated with the April election. So at my next meeting will be our reorgs meeting. With respect to the governance committee, we had a meeting on May 17th, and the following items were discussed. The website, a spreadsheet was created that assigned or tried to assign a committee responsibility to each element of the website. It was going to be reviewed by Dr. Rose Tarrin, Jack, and then the community relations members, and then hopefully it'll go out after it's been cleaned up to the different committees. And this is so that the committee would be responsible for making sure that the information on the website is current for your particular area. Some of them naturally happen, like, for the agenda, et cetera, and that's by who it's handled, but there are things that come up for the other committees that we've just got to keep working on. We have, whether the public knows it or not, we had a retreat this evening, and we worked on developing our district goals and our board goals. And that was a culmination of us after we had done a self-evaluation, which was submitted by every board member. So this is the 3rd year in a row that we've had 100% participation of the board in the self-evaluation. At the conference in October that passed, I think it was known that Kim, myself, and Dr. Mucci made a presentation. Well, we are putting in an application, I guess, to make another presentation this coming year, and Mr. Alexis has kindly agreed to join us. So it'll be Kim and myself. It'll again be regarding governance, but the what exactly we'll cover has to be discussed. And that's about it.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? No? Okay. Ann?
I have an update from the PTO. Thank you to the PTO for their support in sponsoring the buses that brought the 1st graders to Millington School and then the 5th graders to Central School to help facilitate their 2nd and 6th grade orientations last month. The PTO is sponsoring the class breakfast for the 8th graders, which will be on June 9th, and also award plaques that are presented at the promotion exercises in the subjects and commemorative tassel keychains that are given to the students. Finishing up the events for the current school year on June 5th through 7th at Central School, the 6th grade language arts classes had a residency with Mike Moran, a cartoonist. On June 6th was the Millington fourth grade, will be the Millington fourth grade science fair, which we had a preview of. The PTO is also presenting 2 scholarships to the Watchung Hill seniors who were also graduates of our Central Middle School. And June 8th, 5th grade will be seeing the Kits Interactive Theater Civil War performance. On June 12th, Millington 5th grade class picnic. They're having it as an entire grade together. And then class picnics for preschool through grade 4 have been scheduled by their homerooms. The PTO is sponsoring the Watchung Hills Regional High School Sending District Music Camp, and the registration for that is open. The camp is held from June 26th to July 20th and is at Millington School this year. The PTO general meeting for June is Wednesday, June 7th at 7 p.m. in Millington Media Center. Everyone is invited to attend. And if you have any questions about anything PTO related, you can email LHTPTO@gmail.com.
Okay. Is that everything for you?
That's all I have.
Oh, okay. Matt.
Thank you. The Finance Committee met this past 31st, and unfortunately, it was Dan's last meeting with us. You will be greatly missed, and all your corrections and helping me out during these meetings will also be greatly missed. But I know you won't be gone forever, so I mean, you'll be here for a little bit more. So that leads us into that the Bedminster has agreed to share Robin with us as our new BA. So we're gonna have a split service, no loss in service whatsoever. She's gonna be able to take care of everything that has been done here in our district and working with Bedminster. So they signed, either agreed to the contract, county did, and so tonight we have our resolution for us to agree to it. And again, this is just another model that Dan's group has seemed to have created that I think hopefully will be copied by other districts. And now we're also already looking at other positions in our administration where else can we share services? And that will be continued by Rob. So congratulations on all your work you've done with us, and thank you for everything you've done. And just FYI, so that shared services will save us just a little bit over $100,000 when we talk about insurance and everything else in there. It's absolutely an amazing thought, and it was great to see people work outside the box and come up with these wonderful ideas. Moira's last day was at the 31st, so that was an AP position that's open, and we are borrowing the Bedminster person, or how, I don't know exactly how you want to.
We're sharing that service.
We're sharing that service right now on a temporary basis.
For June.
For June as well, right. The bus rental, so our current bus rental that we had brought into house, where we brought our own driver in, we're extending that for another month.
No, it was 2
more
weeks until our softball team.
Because our teams are doing so well. And that's going to be continued at the same rate that we had at $250 a day. And more busing news, we are re-upping our contract with Watchung Hills, and where most contracts for transportation are going up, this one is going down. So we have another savings over $50,000 by utilizing this contract. It's a triple tier system.
Yeah, triple tier route, no
Nothing is gonna
loss of
change.
routes, same amount of
Everything's
routes as this year,
Yep.
same capacities on our buses as this year.
Right. We are going to be requesting that we approve the renewal of AlphaBest, which runs our before and after care. And that's going to be no major changes there. It's just one additional year. And just as a standard yearly function, that we're going to request that we have excess funds. Where am I moving myself here? Movement of excess funds to include possible funding of a tuition reserve, but unfortunately, we're not able to do that.
Correct.
And clarification for me, we're not a sending receiving district.
Correct, similar to,
we're
sending, we're not receiving.
Yeah, Greenbrook is a
Greenbrook.
sending receiving district to the high
Mount
school. They pay
Arlington or
tuition.
Roxbury is another one.
Right. So instead of creating a reserve fund, a tuition fund, and putting money in there to save, we're just going to split the additional funds and move it to the capital reserve or
The
the maintenance reserve. And then on a negative money-wise, there is a potential of a student that's come in that's going to need special transportation, nurse, and one-on teaching. And if the child does come in and we are going to hire the people, we think it's going to cost us over $250,000. And the only reason why I mention that is just so that the entire public always knows is, as Dan has put out, is even though we have a $20 million budget, our discretionary budget is roughly $350. So if we were to have 2 people that come into our district and we do what we need to give that child a good education, it costs us $500,000. Our budget is then not ruined, but we still have to stay on top of our budget. We can't just go and, hey, we're doing great, thanks, Dan, you left us in a great financial position, let's go spend everything we have. We still need to be looking at the numbers and where we can save and where we can do continued share services. What we've done in the business office is great. Hopefully that will then spread out and maybe go into other buildings and ground share services with the town or anywhere else where, hey, we all need this, we all need a plumber, but we don't need them for a full time. How do we share that service? And we're showing that it can be done just by the business administration office doing what they're doing. We entered our application for extraordinary aid, which is going to be estimated at $570,000, and that is not going to be budgeted. We don't include that in our budget, so because you never know if that's going to come in way under or not. So that's just another change that your office made, is where we had it in our budget because we needed it, but now we're going to take it out because it should not be in there. We have made approximately $70,000 in extra interest this year for doing nothing but creating new accounts at the New Jersey Arm. And we still have another 2 months, so that 70 may become $80,000, who knows? And then all of next year, it's going to be higher because interest rates are going up.
It's over 5% this week.
Absolutely amazing. And then to end on 3 wonderful extensions, we're working with Dan on an extension, even though Robin's going to be coming as our VA, he's still going to be a little, I think it could be down to 2 days a week.
8 hours.
8 hours a week.
Yeah, I'll do 2 or whatever they need.
Just for the transition, right?
Yep.
So, well, don't say that. We'll
That's,
keep
if that's
it forever.
okay, I do mean that.
We're also going to be extending Nate and Mark as well. You guys have been doing a wonderful job as interns. We wish we could keep you. So thank you for everything you've done. And just to show how much they love us, they're not raising their rates. They're keeping the same rates for the last year. So thank you guys for doing that. We appreciate that.
What does that mean they ripped us off last year?
3 years.
It all pretends that you're ripped off now. And
They've earned their money.
Matt, can I just add one thing?
please,
The, for the special education busing, we're still not done negotiating with that yet, correct?
Correct.
And that busing is for the children where the IEP specifically provides for individual busing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but
Yes.
we're still in the process of negotiating that, right?
We, what we do is, we do it as a consortium with other school districts in our area, see how many are going to school X, and see how many straps we need, how many aides, do we see a nurse? So we try to do 2 or 3 school districts together. That keeps the route still under 1 hour and gets them to their destination to and from. So we're in that process now. We have either Somerset, Morris, Essex, or Sussex. So we look at what the best alternatives for our specific student to get from point A to point B in the most efficient and economic manner.
Is this for out-of-district
Yes,
placements?
this is for out-of-district
Not
placement.
in-house?
Not
Okay.
in-house, correct.
In-house district is the busing,
In-house would be our own, our buses that we have here currently.
but the students that have IEPs that provide for busing,
If they have an IEP that requests a personal aid, then we would have to make modifications. If it's an IEP that's silent to the language, then they would go on one of our 6 buses.
got it, thank you.
Okay, any questions, any other questions for Matt?
I just want to say thank you to Dan and to Robin and all the hard work that you guys have put in. The fact that we're, our business office is now, practicing what we preach and doing a shared service with another district, and the savings that has incurred. And also that means that our business administrator comes in with a wealth of background of what's going on in the district, what practices you've been implementing, and is not coming in cold is just a gift. And the fact that we can save money doing so is really great. And I look forward to working with Robin.
Thank you.
I'm not ready to acknowledge that you're eventually leaving.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it yet.
Okay, Tom?
Nothing to report this time, thank you.
Thank you. Alex?
Thank you, Chair. The Building and Grounds Committee met on Friday afternoon. We had a very productive meeting. Mr. Persina presented and listed the following works in progress that are going on at the schools. There is waterproofing work being done at Gillette. Our HVAC maintenance is ongoing. By way of example, there were 6 AC repair requests that were all handled. 3 at Millington, 2 at Central, 1 at Gillette. In some cases, we're waiting on replacement parts, but from my understanding, we are operating well above our prior history, but also it seems to be operating throughout the district. There is, we're still holding off on the glycol loop maintenance at the central school. We're trying to isolate whether a filter cartridge could be identified, and that's part of the new approach that we've taken to kind of cleaning out that system. There is going to be significant activity at Central this summer with all the repair work that's being done there. Most of the after-school activities are going to be concentrated in the Millington area, or Millington school area. We're still evaluating certain projects that are being planned, such as adding electrical circuits and Cat 5 wiring at Central School for some of the projects that are happening there. But I'm assured that we are still within the budgetary scope that we'd originally discussed. Tree and landscape program. We were alerted to some poison ivy that was growing near the softball field at Millington. That's going to be addressed along with some tree removal work and a refencing in that area, but I think the timing of that is probably going to be later in the summer. Thanks to Ann for pointing those things out to us. A lot of time on the softball field.
It was really the parents of the Central Middle School team.
Yeah. So those projects are probably going to be addressed in August at some time when the fencing work is going to be done. There's still ongoing work with locksmith repairs. They're kind of coordinating vendors between the hardware and the swipe card people, but that work is ongoing. Dan is going to continue to follow up and police our lighting vendor to close out that relighting project.
The gift that keeps giving.
Of course. It is an important project that was successfully completed. We just want to close it out, right? There's just still a few punch list items. Still doing evaluation work at the central school on the rigging and lighting work that's being done to kind of better define the scope of the project, but that are going to be enhancements to the stage area that'll be looking forward to next year. I think the spotlight has been ordered. I think that's still for that project, or is that for an external one? Yes. Okay. Integrated test management, one item that I've gotten hands-on involved in the past. There's no significant B issue, but as they kind of pop up, we're taking care of those as needed. This was one of the funniest pieces of news that my son shared with me, that they, on a beautiful day, had to stay in and avoid the coyote that was roaming around the Gillette area. But I was assured that both Mark Brasina and his wife are state licensed animal control officers, which was amazing. And apparently experts at the Raptor Trust, so I asked for a personal tour of the area, and I was promised that I would be given one. But we are in good hands with them as we avoided any sort of incident, but also know that we live in a wild area where those things can happen.
A couple of years ago, they had to keep people like kids in because of a bear.
Yeah, so
that was right,
I'll take
yeah.
a coyote over a bear. I did tell them at the committee that I made a bunch of Wile E. Coyote jokes that my son knocked out, and maybe I shouldn't share that at a public meeting. Playground equipment, I believe, has been ordered to replace the monkey bars at Gillette. There are upgrades planned for the softball fields, but we're still investigating an irrigation system at Millington. Indoor air quality is within compliance, and Mark got training recently up in Sussex. We're lining up meetings with our contractors for the summer projects. and we're still working on verification for the furniture for the classroom work that we're doing. So, anyway, those were the things that we talked about at our meeting. Our August 4th meeting, we are going to do a tour of Central at that time, and hopefully our new superintendent's going to be able to join us at that time. But there will be a lot of projects underway, so in the midsummer, that's what the Building and Grounds Committee is going to be focused on. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Any questions for Alex?
Alex, is there a timeline on the Millington softball project for the irrigation and the work at?
I don't know if we have a timeline on the irrigation. The fence work is going to be done probably in late summer.
But I thought we wound up postponing the field work because of like the breaks and there was rain and things couldn't
Well,
get.
I think what we were worried about is the irrigation is one system, but just to do it more on a cooler time of the year. So when we put the sod in and it takes similar to Central, we had a lot of rain, we had cold nights, we had moisture, as opposed to now, it would never grab and never root.
So it's better to put it in that type of weather. I knew it had something to do with the weather.
Yes,
Yeah, thank
yes.
you.
When is the poison ivy getting pulled?
I don't know, but I believe it's going to get trimmed back with the fencing project, unless it's already been, some of it I think has already been
I
addressed.
thought we already took care
Yeah,
of,
that's
Mark,
what I
the
thought, too.
poison ivy at Millington School.
Completed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
completed.
you.
Now I know where my daughter got it from. I swore she got it at school, but thank you for taking care of that.
I'll just, you could go next, but I was just gonna say, the coyote also came with us when we went to Phoenix, because we went to the zoo over Memorial Day weekend, and I said, oh, coyotes, and Ryan's like, we just saw one of those in the yard, we don't need to see those. I'm like, okay, good point. Okay, Melissa.
Yes, so as for CPAG, which is a Special Education Parent Advisory Group, I encourage all parents who are interested to join and contact the Director of Special Services, Ms. Jerry Colon. The, CPAG had the last meeting on May 18th. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but they are looking for new leadership. So if you are interested, please contact Ms. Jerry Colon they're looking for parent leadership here. As for policy, we had our last meeting on May 18th. Anything that you see on the agenda for for a first reading, there weren't any substantial changes, just some updates to them. As far as the regulation 5111, I'm only mentioning two where there were the most significant changes. Admission, there's a section that was added in there to address the assessment of tuition for a student that was not properly enrolled in the district. And as for regulation 5142, student safety, language was added under early dismissal to indicate, and this is very important, that parents must provide the school with a copy of any current legal documents regarding custody or protection orders, such as restraining orders. We have, on occasion, had some situations where we don't have the updated information. So if there are any changes to guardianship, custody, or especially restraining orders, please provide the school with that updated information as soon as possible. Our next meeting, we also discussed the potential policy 5516, student tracking devices. We're continuing that discussion at our next policy meeting, which will be on June 15th, 2023 at 11 a.m. After that June 15th meeting, we are in such good shape that we are able to skip July.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock on the 15th.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1 o'clock, 6:15 at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions for Melissa? Thank you. Katie?
The Community Relations Committee has a meeting on June 7th, following the, there's actually a community meeting on June 7th with the superintendent, which Dr. Robchar will probably talk about later, introducing Mr. Alexis to the community. And also for the Long Hill Education Foundation, on June 13th from 4 to 8 p.m. There will be a fundraiser at the Panera. Please, pick up a snack, pick up some lunch, pick up a late lunch, an early dinner. 20% of the receipts, if you go in and say that you're here for the Long Hill Ed Foundation or Force for Education, 20% of the receipts will go to the Long Hill Ed Foundation. So please consider going to Panera on June 13th from 4 to 8 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Katie? No? Okay. Next, we have interim superintendent's report. This is, I should have said it when the whole room was here, but this is Renee's last meeting with us. Renee, thank you so much, and thank you for organizing tonight. And, it was like, family back in the role. I don't think we recognized a lot the interim part for you, but I know it was, stepping back in the role, and we really do appreciate it and are thankful for the time that you've been here.
Thank you. Just a couple remarks. I know they're gone. Hopefully they're getting tucked in at this moment, but I did want to thank our fourth grade students. I think they did such a good job. We'll have the fuller experience tomorrow when the whole grade level does their science fair, but they did a fantastic job. I also, it was so nice, and it's too bad we didn't have too many more of them at the board meeting, but to be able to recognize our staff for those milestones, because the mark of an excellent school district really lies in the folks that you hire to do the various jobs. And it's not just teaching, it's our paraprofessionals, it's our IT folks, principals, and especially when you have a number of people that are being recognized for good length of service. I think that really speaks volumes in terms of why people want to stay, because it really is a great district. We do have 2 gifts on the agenda. I always like to acknowledge when people have been generous to the district. We received a donation of $514.25 from the Long Hill PTO Sport group, and a donation of 2 cast iron shot puts valued at $52.12 from Mr. Romanko for use by the Central Middle School track and field program. So we're very grateful for those donations. As Mrs. McLennan mentioned, on Wednesday, we will have the final superintendent virtual coffee for the year, and Mr. Alexis and I will be sharing that program for an hour. We did send out the sign-on information through Zoom. We hope folks can join us if they have any questions, and it will just give folks an opportunity to start to get to know Mr. Alexis as he gets ready to come on board. And I do want to thank the board members, for the opportunity to come back home. I consider this place is very, very near and dear to my heart, and there is something special to Long Hill that I don't know that a lot of other places have, and to be able to lead the district once again, I can only consider it a gift, and I am very grateful. It's sad to think that the days are winding down, because I truly have enjoyed it so much, and have enjoyed working with you. I know that you have chosen extremely well in selecting Mr. Alexis as your new superintendent, and I will be happily watching from the sidelines as the district continues to flourish, and I certainly wish you all the best.
Thank you.
That's the end of me.
Okay. Interim business administrators report. Oh, okay, sorry. Ann has a comment.
Oh, I didn't know if anyone, other people do. Renee, I just wanted to say thank you, honestly, for all your time and your hard work. I think your expertise and your knowledge has been such a benefit to the district, but you truly care about Long Hill, Long Hill
labor of
students.
love, yeah.
I know, it's just so apparent in what you do, and I was thinking the other day, because I believe on your schedule you're making time to go to Watchung Hills commencement, and those are your students from, I mean, they were probably in 3rd grade maybe when you were last here, and I just, I think that we were very lucky to get someone who cared about us. Not that other interims will come in and care, but I think you particularly care for us, if that makes sense, and it was much appreciated.
My pleasure.
It was so nice and seamless.
Yeah.
I mean,
Totally my pleasure, so.
Thank you for minimizing the trauma.
Another way to say it.
I wanted to say, I think one of the best parts about having you here, and there were a lot of wonderful ways that you being here was great, but I felt, I was at the school a lot in recent weeks for various school activities, and it was so nice to see former, parents of children that were here when you were here, or teachers coming to see you, or there was someone who was retired who was there for her grandchild, and she got to come up and see you. And it was just so nice to see you really are a part of our community, and to kind of, to have that in an interim, you were more than that. And I felt it was really great for the staff and for the community to have someone come in that was so familiar and was one of our own, and it made it kind of special for a lot of people, and I just thank you so much.
Okay, sorry. So interim business administrators report.
Good evening. Again, I want to thank Dr. Rovtar on behalf of, myself, Jack, Mr. Prasina, Robin, Adele. It's been our pleasure, and I think it's, we were apprehensive of, and it's an art to that you get a leader that knows and allows you to do what you need to do. And in all our components, she was always there to answer a question, always helped us what we needed to get done. So on behalf of all of us, we thank you. Robin's watched remotely. She's at a conference. Wanted to thank the board for having confidence in her in the shared service agreement. Some points of clarification. We have 2 openings in the board office, and we've been posting it 5 or 6 different ways to give us a lot of latitude, but we have 2 full-time positions that we have to fill. So when you see a lot of those postings come up, we're just giving ourselves the opportunity to fill it in many different components. June, we have to get through with accounts payable, so we're looking at a shared service with Bedminster that we'd be approving tonight. If we look and deem it successful, then we will maybe look at doing it for the next school year again, which could possibly result in a $20,000 to $40,000 savings. The BA, unless it were, the exact people that we have, with the BA that is being shared is our assistant, it's tough when you don't have a lot of knowledge of what goes on both sides. So we have that knowledge. Bedminster is all in doing this, so I want to thank the board for really being cutting edge and looking at a shared service model that we've been talking about from day one. And it's a year-by-year agreement that's renewed in February. Dr. Rovtar has been very supportive. Dr. Alexis has been very, very supportive. So we're all pushing the same way to make sure this does in fact work. Again, with the extensions of Mr. Prasina and Mr. Fitch, they will get us through for the start of school, so they're going to be working their normal work days from July 1st through October. Concurrently, we will be posting for both of those positions. Technology is already posted. We're looking to have maintenance director of buildings and grounds up in the next 2 or 3 days. Our timeline would be to have that posting close on or about the middle to end of June, interview the whole month of July, unofficially appoint in August. That person would then get board approved, give hopefully 30 or 60 days with an October 1st start date in both components, and then those 2 individuals will be reduced down for a 2-month transition. So hopefully our goal would be to be on or about December 1st, December 1st, the new people would fly under the direction of the new regime, and we would be in a good position. I mean, to work as a team as we worked here, I can't say enough for my colleagues, because we're only as good as the people around us and the support we get from the Board of Ed. So I thank all of you. It's been my pleasure. I mean, we've been multiple years in 2 places, and this one's hard to say goodbye. It's just a real, as Dr. Rovtar stated, there's just a little something different about here. And I don't know if it's the community, the careness, you could agree to disagree and have a cup of coffee, and we all work for a common goal. And I thank all of you for that.
I want to thank you. I mean, you talked about the things that you said. You're the one who thought out of the box. I mean, we talk about shared servicing,
right?
But the rubber met the road right there. I mean, and the same thing you did. You followed through on that pay for play. You dedicated yourself from the very beginning, and the way you've just handled everything in terms of how could benefit financially, difficult position that we have with being such a small district. You've done tremendous work. I mean, and the work is going to be carried on. I mean,
right.
it's
the continuity.
It is exceptional to have Robin there, because she obviously knows her job.
Right.
But now she has all those little things that your experience has given
exactly.
her.
Correct.
So we got, you know.
Yeah, we're excited about it, and I'm sure
really
it's going
good.
to be successful. I
It's
can look
really
everyone
good.
in the eyes and say, in 8 to 10 months from now, we'll be like, wow, what other things can we do? And, thank you for your kind words. But again, it's the board being very supportive. You could have said, well, we're not ready yet. Let's wait 6 months. Let's do this. And you've given us the confidence to move forward. And if we have a misstep here or there, we'll correct it. And I know everyone here is like that, and it's not a got you mentality. It's like, okay, let's see what we could do, what has happened, and let's make it better. So, again, thank you for all of that.
Excuse me, Dan, but to tag on to Karen's words, what's even better is, I don't know who thought of it, but you're going to remain around in a kind of a shadow or a much more reduced role to be a safety net to Robin.
Right.
So where she might not have picked up something from you this year, she'll certainly get it next year.
Right,
So you've left us not only in great shape, but you've promised to keep us in great shape for a while to come. Thank you for that.
Thank you, thank you. All right, I don't want to get all mushy. Matt has really went through and detailed a lot in finance. Again, thank you. Anything you would ever need, come into board meetings. I would love it. Whatever you need me to do, I will do. Looking forward to work with a new team, with new leadership. I'm sure it's going to be a great experience, and thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say that, some people call you and they say, like, oh, I thought, I'm thinking outside the box here, and you're like, oh, no. But when Dan calls, you're like, what do you got? Like, it's going to be something good. So that was exciting, and I think you established such a good culture with your team, and we talked about the growth mindset in our retreat, and I think you've established that with your team, and in some ways, people moving on is a positive thing. Like, you inspired people to want to do better and to take on leadership, and that's a good thing. And we're happy to have those types of people in our BA office, even if we have to replace them. So, I definitely appreciate that. And, in terms of any future hires, I think all of us on this board have learned, like, not to settle. And, appreciation to you and to Mark being in these roles, because we've really learned that about these roles. We didn't know so much about them before, so now we know, and we know we don't have to settle. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. Any comments from the public on agenda items? No? Okay. We're going to move into resolutions. Karen, will you move in number 2 minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
I abstain.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Ms. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. And will you move in financials number 3 through 32?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? I know there was a lot, but I think we went through it in committees.
Yep.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Matt, will you move in special services numbers 33 through 40?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Ms. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Tom, will you move in items number 41 through 52 personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Ms. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Alex, will you move in number 53 curriculum?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Ms. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Apropos, Melissa, will you move in items number 54 through 60 policy?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Ruffalo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes, okay. Other, Katie, will you move in numbers 61 through 62?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mr. DeJamos?
Yes.
Mr. DeGiorgio?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Rivolo?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Any items for discussions, old business or unfinished business?
Yes, I just want to echo Dr. Rovtar. Thank you so much. And Dan, thank you so much as well. I'm not really saying goodbye to you
Right.
because we're going to be seeing
Yes,
you.
of course.
But I don't think our parents realize how indebted they should be to the both of you for the significant service that you've shown to our district. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I do want to jump in and say thank
Oh,
you to both of you.
No gaping hole.
No, I mean, it needs to be said, you guys really transformed, when I say you guys, the new team that came in really helped transform this district and put us at a position where we were in a position of comfort and confidence. Despite changes in leadership, I think we were all at a totally different level in every aspect of the operations of the district. So I thank you, to all of you, because even when Dr. Rovtar came in, it was seamless. It was no panic. It was like, okay, well, we all know what we're doing. Everything's great. It was a familiar face. So I thank you for making our jobs so much easier than they had been for years. So thank you very much for doing that, and you paved the way for a brighter future, and we're excited to have Mr. Alexis start. So thank you all.
Okay.
You too, Mark.
Yes. Did you have something?
Just new business.
Okay, new business.
I wonder if we should find a place in the curriculum to add in, identifying poison ivy. Like, it's such for this area, I grew up in Essex County, and I think we had a little bit of it there, but we have a lot of it in Long Hill.
And it takes many forms.
I know.
That's the
and
difficulty.
I think I over-identify it at times. Sometimes I look at a tree and it has 3 leaves and so on. But I just thought for the, little tour of the, oh, look, there it is.
Or we just approved this curriculum writing for the climate change sustainability. I don't know if that's like something about the local ecosystem.
Yeah.
I will say this, at my house, I remember doing work in the yard early on, and I said to my husband, is this poison ivy? He goes, no. I was covered
I know.
on steroids. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy,
No,
so
it's horrible.
it's not good.
Pachysandra breeds poison ivy too, so wherever.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
It literally breeds it. I mean, it could take over.
Well, it's, local ecosystem work
It is, it's
potentially.
everywhere.
Okay, any other new business? Okay, any comments from the public? No? We might have a missing item, it looks like.
Not for item, this is for an issue.
No, he's coming in. Okay, just,
No,
yes, got it, okay. At this,
Sorry to.
at this point,
texted me, man.
yeah. The Board of Education welcomes comments from any member of the public on any topic. Please note that as per Board Policy Number 1120, a total of 15 minutes is allocated for public comments at any single board meeting. In order to provide residents the opportunity to comment, individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each at any particular board meeting. The board may extend these time limits at its discretion. Any questions should be directed to the board president, and depending upon the nature and complexity of the question, it may or may not be answered during the meeting by the administration. If so, the response would occur after the public portion of the meeting has concluded. Everyone has the freedom to speak, but please be advised that anything said in public may have legal ramifications, and there is no protection regarding statements made by the public. Please state your name and address before you begin.
Absolutely. First of all, hello to the board. My name is Paul White. I live at 25 Doherty Avenue, Gillette, New Jersey. I have a 5-year-old daughter who goes to Gillette School. What I'm going to explain is a little hard for me, so bear with me. May 16th and May 17th, my little girl was assaulted on a bus. I don't know who's aware of it. I sent an email, I believe, to the superintendent, Dr. Jones. And I forget who, but I know a few people on the board. I'm going to refer to the juveniles as offender and victim due to, I notice it's public, and I don't want to put nobody's names out there. So bear with me if I have to change things up a little bit. Okay. On May 16th, my daughter had went to school, regular day, I thought everything. She's getting off the bus, she's very upset. I know my daughter like back of my hand. Starts crying, of course I feel upset, so she usually enjoys school. What's the matter, what's the matter, you know, to my little girl? I get her inside the house, calm her down, she's so upset. She goes, Daddy, the offender, again, I'm not gonna say the girl's name, the offender spit in her hand, went to mush me in the face, I moved, it went down my neck and down my shirt, and I look, it's on her shirt still. I'm disgusted. Disgusted, it's my little girl. Couldn't do nothing about it, school's over. Did what I could with my daughter for the rest of the night. She was crying, very upset as you can imagine. Next day, put on a bus, talked to Mr. Loomis, the bus driver. Sorry about that name, but he's an adult. Keep an extra eye on my kid. I explain what happened. Oh, he goes, sorry. I know the bus driver, nice guy. Go to the school. Everybody's very nice, invited me in. Secretary, Miss Riki, I think her name is very nice. Invited me in, called in Principal Jones. Sat me down, we had a conversation about it. I felt good about the conversation. I wasn't looking to jam anybody up. I said, okay, you'll handle it. I'm pretty okay with it. I actually felt good. I felt like it would be taken care of. You know, things happen with kids, good and bad, through high school, schools, whatever, grade school, it happens. Me, everybody, I'm sure it happened to everybody. Let it go. You guys will handle it. Go home, to go on my day. The 17th, the next day, my daughter gets off the bus. Worse than the day before. I'm like, you still upset about yesterday? No, Daddy. She starts getting all misty upset. I go, okay, calm down. Take her in the house, try to calm down. Now she's bawling. The actor now spits at her. She moves. She goes, Daddy, I felt the wetness, but it didn't hit me direct. It went onto the seat. You're kidding me. This happened today? Yes. Okay. Couldn't do much about it. Again, you can imagine the night, trying to get her to sleep, forget it. Now the bus ride, she's scared, everything else, it's a nightmare. So next morning, I sent out an email, 9 in the morning after I put my little girl on the bus. I confronted the bus driver. He apparently was aware of the incident, said, yeah. Sophia actually came up to, oh, my kid. My little girl came up to him and said, you know, such and such just spit at me, yada, yada. It's on the seat. He went and cleaned the seat, so he was aware of the incident. I now sit down, gather my thoughts. My kid's on the bus again. He assured me, I'll watch this kid on the bus ride. I said, please do, because this is getting bad every day. I sent an email to Dr. Jones. I'd like to make you aware of a second incident that occurred on bus 10. I have already reported the first spitting incident that occurred on May 16th. I learned from my daughter Sophia on May 17th that the offender spit at her for no reason and missed. The spit landed on Sophia's seat. This is my daughter. I said her name. That's okay or no? I did by mistake. Anyhow, the victim then told me, the bus driver, Miss Loomis, he took paper towels, clean your seat. I need this problem taken care of, as I feel it is escalating daily. My daughter is very upset, and the bus ride now is scary for her. She is in fear and causing her mental and psychological pain at this point. This is a crime in New Jersey to spit on somebody. I will be speaking to my lawyer today. My child is in a very unsafe environment and feels humiliated on a daily basis, being spit on and bodily fluids wiped on her. I also found out from other parents that have children in Gillette School. The actors or offenders have caused problems in the past. I have no knowledge of the school correcting these actors' behavior. They also are placing at risk other children from becoming ill and contaminating the bus by spitting. I also found out they spit all over the bus. The actors had now targeted my daughter twice with the bus driver as a witness. This school has created this situation by not correcting the behavior in the past. Now my daughter Sophia is a victim and being targeted on a daily basis. Also, did the bus driver report this incident to the supervisor of school? My wife and I live in Gillette to send our kid to a school that's safe environment, and now we don't feel that way. The school cannot keep my child safe on a short bus ride. I do strongly support public schools. Now I'm considering sending my daughter to a private school. This affected Sophia's willingness to go to school. I also enclose, please do not speak to her because she will get extremely upset. I want to be there if you talk to her so I can comfort my little girl. Please provide me documentation of this report. Give me a second. After that email, which I appreciate, I got a phone call about 8 minutes after I sent it. I don't know if you guys told the principal she got it and get it sent to me, and I appreciate that. That was really good, because I'll tell you, I was ready to bust. Principal Jones related to me by phone the disciplinary consequences has to be imposed according to our code of conduct. Dr. Jones stated to me she cannot discuss the consequences, what will be. However, she can email me the school of code of conduct, and I can see what the principal can implement. Okay, something's gonna get done, good. This is where I'm at, right? I get the code of conduct, I'm going over it line by line. Again, I'm at work, I'm doing this ship to shore, trying to do stuff, and I'm sure you can imagine. So, I'm going line by, I must be missing something. I'm looking through this entire 8-page thing. Not one thing's mentioned about spitting, bodily fluids wiped on a kid, nothing. I'm like, okay, what am I missing here? So now I'm feeling like maybe the principal's hands are tied. She can't take the kid off the bus, she can't do nothing because it's not in the code of conduct. I don't know, what your procedures are. Anyhow, several emails back and forth. I basically relayed, it's not clear to me about the code of conduct. Nothing's listed about spitting, nothing's listed about wiping bodily fluids. However, I said, spitting is an assault. If you look at New Jersey statute 2C12-1A, it is a crime, and it should be pushed to a tier 3, which then this kid can supposedly be taken off the bus and remove the problem child. Dr. Jones replied to me that this incident will fall, which we kind of agreed together, as an assault level 2. Okay. Give me a second here. Basically, I sent her the statute and everything, and again, to try to help, and I was actually trying to push this to tier 3 to get this kid off the bus, so I don't have to worry anymore. And again, she's, explained to me that, she kind of agreed with it being a tier 2. Okay, I actually said, this is my email back to her. Someone in the school should make a decision and treat this as the highest offense. I get emails from the school all the time about kids exposed, some sick in the classroom, potentially causing illness, kids that have COVID, there seems to be more victims also on this bus. I found out through other parents, which you'll probably hear about. As far as spitting, it could be considered a weapon, so try to treat this as the tier 3. She replied back, Dr. Jones replied back, I appreciate your information shared in your email. The situation you shared appears to agree with our assessment together. The spitting incident falls within the definition of assault, which included our listing of level 2 offenses. And I'm not going to read this to what I always tell, but she gave me a whole list of weapons in the tier 3 and such and why it's tier 2. She explained it pretty good. Towards the end, she said, Dr. Jones, perhaps the most important aspect here is that we must consider the age of the student involved in their development level. As a school, it is always our hope and behavior such as this, when it occurs, be corrected in a way that allows the student to learn from their mistakes and be supported in exhibiting the appropriate behavior moving forward. Please assure this district engaging working with the student and their family to achieve this goal. I didn't feel that was the most important thing, but whatever. My reply, thank you for getting back to me so quickly. I was hoping to look at it from another point of view due to this is not listed in the code of conduct. The most important aspect to me is my kid, my child, protecting her and other kids' schools, other children in school. Looking at this, the best way would to remove the actor or have her not unsupervised on this bus. The school seems to be worried more about how to treat the offender rather than protect the school children at this point. Spitting upon another person is a sign of anger, hatred, disrespect, contempt, seen more offensive than striking somebody. I don't know about anybody here. I'll take a punch in the face all day long rather than get spit on. A child at the offender's age definitely knows right from wrong. I would have hoped that common sense could have been used here, and because this school code and conduct was not clear in black and white about spitting or wiping bodily fluids on somebody, looking at this, it seems the school chose to give the lesser consequence. I've been contacted by other parents in the school, and they found this so disturbing, the whole incident, they can't believe the actor was actually allowed back on the bus. And and she was allowed back on the bus again, and I am sure the school will regret that decision if somebody else had gotten hurt or worse consequences that we'd have to deal with. Okay. Now, I'd like to go over to the where you're having your agenda under suspension and expulsion. The chief school administrator is required to report of all suspensions. This child was supposedly suspended from the bus. I don't know if it's your school or bus. I'm curious if there was a report on that. If I get an answer on that, that'd be great. Did the bus driver report this to the supervisor or school, his supervisor or school? The principal, indicated in your agenda, is required a written report to the Board of Education in case of any assault on any student. Any assault, spitting, hitting, anything. According to your policy, there should be 2 reports filed to the Board of Education, you sitting right in front of me, of an assault to my daughter. Is that report here? You gotta be kidding me. I am so disappointed. And that is, you are in violation of your own policy. That is sad. Anyhow, very disappointed. I have requested, and I have the email from Principal Jones to provide me with a documentation of any reports. I have never received any documentation or any knowledge of any reports. Again, she confirmed this is an assault. I have the emails. I'll send them to all of you. And it is a 2-tier, which is an assault. Has this been overlooked? I find that hard to believe. It seems this policy that you have created probably does tie up the principal's hands. But there are procedures that should have been followed. And I'd hate to think that this was avoided to avoid assault being listed in your school crime reports or whatever, because that would be sad. It seems this policy is geared toward a neurotypical child. I assume the offender or individuals are IEP, or if they're not, they have some behavioral issues. The behavioral issues, well, at a minimum, would be the spitting and, assaulting people. I believe there are 4 children on bus 10 with behavior issues. I am all for mainstreaming and integrating them with the bus of the neurotypical kids.
Mr. White, can I just say, we've let you go on for probably 3 times the amount. I
Yes.
really wanted to respect your story.
I appreciate that.
But at this point, I think we have to close down any comments. You have the ability to email the board, the superintendent, but I think we do have to wrap up. I think we have the information.
Be done in like 2 minutes, if you could allow
But
it.
it's been much more than that. I was trying to let you get to this point, and I want to make sure that we are following our rules as we do for other speakers.
I would appreciate it. I've been a
Board
resident of
Chair,
this town for
if
30
you allow
years.
me just a
I would
second.
so appreciate 2 more minutes.
We're getting to a point where you've identified the bus, you've started identifying certain characteristics of certain students. We're getting very close to providing enough information that we're going to identify children, which is not appropriate for public board meetings, sir. And you can't assume our silence in response to your statements to be anything one way or the other. So sorry, Board Chair, I just want to make sure that that's noted.
Thank you, okay.
Could I have 30 seconds? I will be brief, quick.
I honestly, it's been like 14 minutes.
No, I understand.
So I have
30
to.
seconds, I'd appreciate it. 30 seconds.
Can you just respect the fact that we have to, one, wrap up the meeting, but also protect the identity of students, sir?
Paul, do you say you're not going to say the other student's name?
No.
No.
So then the student is protected.
It's not just their name.
It's not
No.
just their name.
Yeah.
That can make them easily identifiable.
What is it you would like to see?
Obviously,
no,
code-
no.
obviously, code of
No, 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 no,
conduct
no.
has to be reviewed, and the spitting
I'm going to ask for a
and
motion to
fluid should
adjourn.
actually be put in this, and it should be a tier 3.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Oh, I think you said you agreed.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys, and I hope you didn't get upset, but as you can see, my point.
We heard,
I was upset.
we understand the story.
We understand your.
I know, we all got kids. Good night, all.